Welcome, high school football fans, to this week's edition of Stark Media High School Football Rewind. I'm Drew Sarachman with the College Football Hall of Famer, Jim Ballard. We're coming to you from the Stark Media studio in downtown Mansfield. Really exciting week of football in Stark County. A lot of good games. We're starting to get close to league season. Teams getting, Federal League starts this week, league play. A lot of good games to get into with that. But we're going to start things off with probably the best team in Stark County right now, Madison. 33-0 winners over Mansfield. They dominated in all three phases of the game: offense, defense, special teams. It's the first time Mansfield has been shut out in 7 seasons. Big game on defense there for Darian Pringle. Like we said, all three phases of the game, Madison really dominates. After that week 1, difficult loss, they come back week 2 with a win. Now week 3 with another win, and they're starting to roll.
Their defense is playing lights out. You could see that the adjustments that they made in the second half of the Glen Oak game, started bringing blitzes from the short corner into the boundary, started walking safeties down, played man, then they played zone. Really frustrated Burt, who's athletic as all get out at the quarterback position. Really surprised by this, and I thought Mansfield TY Tigers would give them a better game after what they did to North Canton Hoover.
Yep.
They really played extremely well on offense and defense. Coach Choke down there does a great job with that team. Very athletic. But for Madison to go down and pitch a shutout and win 33-0 speaks volumes about where they're at as a team. And this offense is, as I said, they're about a 5 right now. They're a 10 with the way that they're running the ball. But DP, Lennox, and Arvell Banks, there's more plays out there that they should have made up in through these first 3 games, and you can see that on tape. But these guys are going to settle in, and by week 10, this team is going to be really difficult to beat.
Yep, they got Warren Harding this week coming up. A game, Warren Harding, some talented players, but a team they should win. Unfortunately, this past week, the buzz about Massillon hasn't been about their play, and that's always unfortunate. Article came out in the Canton Rep about some Massillon players who had transferred last year. I have got a lot of problems with this article that came out. First and foremost, we have to remember we're talking about kids here. Talking about kids' eligibility, kids' future. Why did the Canton Rep feel that they had to write about this situation, which was already solved? The OHSA already handed out discipline for it. Is there some grave danger or injustice that by these kids playing at Massillon that's creating? No. I think it's a BS article. I think it was for clicks and it was for views. I'm just not wild about it. I mean, how many kids, in Stark County since 1999, this guy Tim Bodos, who wrote the article, has been at the Rep since 99. There have been many high-profile transfers, around the county to different schools, but you don't hear about it. You know why? It's because everyone wants to see Massillon lose. Because of their success, everyone wants to see them lose, and I think it's not fair.
The situation was handled.
Absolutely.
Bottom line, why are you digging it back up? The kids transferred. For whatever they found or didn't find, they suspended them. They served their time, so to speak. It's over.
Yep,
there's
absolutely.
and until somebody else transfers in that's violating rules, there's no reason to bring this up again. I agree with you. If you don't want to see your kids leave, spend more time in your Pee Wee programs.
Absolutely.
Spend more time with your kids. Get to know them when they're young kids, so they're not even thinking about leaving. Because if you don't ingrain yourself, whether you're at Massillon or Jackson or Lake or anywhere else, if you don't spend time in the Pee Wee programs and be a face to those kids, then they don't know who you are, and then all of a sudden you want to talk to them in 8th grade when you have them start lifting for the first time? I don't think so. Why would I want to play for that guy? You've been around Coach Tim Budd. He did a great job at St. Thomas. When he was at Jackson, my son played flag football, and I thought this was great with what he did. Every Saturday morning, win or lose, he had his players down reffing the flag games for the young kids, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, with their jersey on, so that they can identify with those players. And then you'd see Coach Budd walking around. And this is just one example. I'm sure there's other coaches out there to do it, but this is the way to do it. This is the way to keep your kids in the program. And if kids transfer, then you got to ask yourself, why?
Yep. Yeah. And to touch on what you're saying there, it is the right of every parent and every student to put themselves in a situation that they feel they need to succeed as an individual. No one has claim to any of these kids. I'm tired of hearing people say, well, he's a plain local kid. He's a Perry kid playing over there. You don't have ownership to these kids. Every parent has a right to send their kid where they want. If they want to move to Massillon and send their kid to Massillon, great. I'm telling you right now, Nate Moore isn't out here on the road recruiting kids like a college coach. Same thing. I coached at Hoban. Tim Terrell's not out on the road doing it. You know what they did? They built great programs. Massillon's a great program. There's not a team in Stark County that develops their players in the offseason like Massillon Tigers do. That's why people want to go there. So you're absolutely right. If your kids are leaving your hometown program, look in the mirror. Why is that happening? I'll tell you what, Jackson, to your point, over the past, 7-8 years, they're not losing kids to Massillon.
How about this, to the point? Jackson as a public school in 2017, and I don't know the last time that this has ever happened, they won the state championship in baseball and they won the state championship in basketball. And all those kids were homegrown kids that grew up in Jackson. They weren't recruited. They didn't come in. They didn't get a superstar at the last minute. This is a public school in the Division I level that won 2 state championships out of the big 3 with homegrown sports, with homegrown kids.
And it's because that the emphasis and the importance that they put on the program as a whole, like you said, from Pee Wee all the way up. You go to Jackson, their youth sports are very well organized. They're well coached. Jackson Local Schools does a great job with their facilities, beautiful facilities, and people don't want to leave. Another example, Lake, very close to Hoban up there. Hoban gets kids from all over, because there's districts that aren't doing what they need to do. You don't see any Lake kids going up to Hoban. Same reason, great facilities, great youth programs, community supports their programs, to do everything they need to do to be successful. That's how you keep your kids. And here's the other thing. If you want to complain about these schools, like I said before, look in the mirror, because almost every single one of these schools in Stark County over the last 20 years have had a transfer from some place that's been good. Look at the last 2 Mr. Footballs in Ohio, or in Stark County. Over at Perry and over at Hoover, there were some, things about where they lived at one time or another when they were in high school, and I don't see the rep doing articles on that. I think it was cheap. I think it was to sell newspapers and to get views on the internet. And if I was Coach Nate Moore, I'd say, you're done. No access. You want to do a hack job article like that and call out a bunch of kids? I'm done. And you know what? This is what I'm doing for the rest of the year here, Sammy. I'm going Massillon Tigers. I hope they go scorched earth, or Jim, I'm sorry. I hope they go scorched earth and beat everybody's ass. I'm on the Massillon train, and I hope they beat everyone's ass because of this.
It's going to be interesting the way it plays out. But Massillon starting to feel themselves a little bit after a big win.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to send it to commercial break real quick, and we'll be right back.
The entrepreneurial spirit runs strong at Simon Says Promotions. That's why if you've seen us everywhere in downtown Massillon, it's because we're growing. Stop in and see our guys at Spirit of Stark on 409 Erie Street North. If you're in the spirit for that new look, head over to Studio Vibes and tell Allie the Stark Media Team sent you. We've rebranded the old checkered flag building at 256 Erie Street South as Simon Says HQ, featuring Copeland Paints, Brooklyn Rio Boudoir, Cherry on Top Logistics, Studio Vibes, and we are adding new tenants monthly. Speaking of new, have you seen what's coming out of the vault at the new Tiger store at 59 Lincoln Way East? New game day prints dropping weekly with new store hours. Trust me, they can't wait to see you. Check us out on social media and find out what's new, or for occupancy and employment inquiries, email simonsayspromotions@gmail.com today.
All right, we're back on High School Football Rewind. Thank you to all of our sponsors as always. Right down the road here, down Lincoln Way on to Tusk, Canton Central Catholic goes down 34-21 to South Range last week. Tough schedule continues for the Crusaders, but I see some improvements. South Range is a really good team, really, and I think they've got a big, long winning streak coming in, but Central's starting to put it together, and now this week they're coming up showdown of 2 good quarterbacks, which I know you're excited about. They go up, they play Salem this week, so talk about that quarterback matchup a little bit.
Had a chance to break down the film Yesterday with Jack Talkington, he came to the house and we were able to break down the loss. And offensively, they're doing good things. Scheme wise, Coach Trucker's doing some different things with the run game. Boron is really stepping up. Is a running back and a threat. Jack Talkington continues to do what he does, and that's fill up the stat sheet every way he can with yards rushing, yards passing, touchdown runs, touchdown passes, and tackles and sacks and everything else. They just got to figure it out and get better on defense. They're giving up too many points, missing too many tackles, but offensively they can stay in games. And this week they're going to have to do that. Spent a lot of time this summer with Jackson Johnson, the dynamic quarterback from Salem. 6 foot, left-handed kid, Teddy Bridgewater-like in the way he wears both gloves, but man, the kid can flat out spin it. He's competitive, he's accurate, and the thing that makes him different than most kids in the area, because he is a coach's kid, obviously Ron Johnson used to be the head coach at Kent McKinley, he gives him the rope and the opportunity to call 65 to 70% of the plays at the line of scrimmage. And when you have a kid like that doesn't have to look to the sidelines and you just let him call plays based on what he's feeling and what he's seeing, he's one of those guys that's been doing this for 3 or 4 years now. He's really good. It's going to be a high-scoring game. I just don't know if Canton Central Catholic's going to have the firepower to stay with them. It's going to be one of those things, kind of like Perry, where they're going to have to put together 10, 12 play drives to try and limit the amount of possessions that Salem has to keep that offense off the field. Should be a good ball game. Excited about both quarterbacks, work with both of them. I wish the game could end in a tie. Both of them throw for 405 touchdowns, but unfortunately there is overtime. Somebody's got to win and lose. So hopefully my quarterbacks do a good job of taking care of the ball and giving their team the best opportunity to win.
Okay. Yeah, into the IVC now. Malvern, there was a little question. We knew Jared Withrow was a little banged up in the game before, but he was able to play. He was, played dinged up, and he played well. He played really well for the Hornets. They beat Waterloo 28-0. East Canton, another tough loss, fall to 0-3. Played a really physical and big Southern local team from Columbiana County. I'm familiar with that program down there. Always big lineman, big strong running back. Like I said, 34-6 there. East Canton went down. Fairless continues to roll into the pack now. Fairless continues to roll, 35-7 win over Claymont. They got Northwest this week. Fairless Northwest, maybe this is one of the first big tests for Fairless to see what they've got. You got an opportunity to see Northwest last week, and that Fairless Northwest game will be Sam Berkwin and Jeff Shreve on Rock 106.9 this week coming up, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Tuslaw improves to 2-1 with a 38-20 win over Tusky Valley. Quarterback Troy Harbitner, 135 yards rushing, 165 passing, 3 total TDs. He's a guy that I've heard about going into last year, this year, really putting up good numbers for Tuslaw. Hopefully we get to see them at all. Have you seen anything on Troy over there?
Not too much, no. Have not.
Yeah. Hopefully we get to see Tuslaw, but a good win for them, improved to 2-1 before they get into their league play in the pack. Louisville, you and TJ went and did the Louisville game, Louisville Northwest down in Canal Fulton on 99.7 this past week. Offensive explosion for the Leopards, 16 points and a victory, more importantly. They take down Northwest 16-6. I talked about it the week before. Louisville's defense really good. They got Shane Gates to come back, who I believe was your guys' player of the game, the big defensive tackle for Louisville. Talk about what you saw in that game, Louisville Northwest, especially after us breaking down Louisville's offense the week before.
They did run the option, I believe, probably three times with Davion Cruz. And the first thing that was noticeable, and I even said it on air with TJ, was that when he caught the snap, he was getting downhill and attacking the defensive end. He didn't run parallel. He got good yardage. When he did get downhill, obviously you got to threaten the defensive end and into the second level player. But they played better. They did find a way to win. 16 points is not going to get it done week in and week out, let's be honest. In high school football, if you score 16, you're probably going to go 2-8, depending on who you're playing. You got to get better. You got to continue to find ways. Got creative, ran some trick plays. The touchdown, Cruz had an efficient game. Most of his yards came on smoke screens and bubble screens. There really wasn't a lot of shots down the field. Got to improve the vertical pass game. somehow. I like the fact that they did, and I said at the beginning of the broadcast that they're going to have to try and find a way to generate points. And there were some trick plays that got them in situations to be able to score points. Their defense came up with 2 turnovers. They had Chase Badger throwing off his back foot a lot. Maraglia was good for Northwest in the run game, but they got to get the pass game figured out a little bit. Chase Badger has to settle in a little bit. He looked really solid the first 2 weeks, kind of had an off week last week. There were opportunities to make plays. There's one situation, and it was, I believe, 2nd and 8 on about the 35-yard line. They already hit a comeback. Earlier in the game, they went comeback, stutter, and go. The wide receiver had him by 5 yards, and the quarterback ended up overthrowing it. Those are plays, especially in tight games, that you got to make because you only might get 1 or 2 of those a game.
Yeah, so, kind of a big game for both teams there. Louisville, hats off to them to come out to the victory. Week 1, 0 points. Week 2, 10 points. Week 3, 16. Maybe we'll get into the 20s this week. And, they keep showing improvement. I know Coach Davis challenged them during the week that, hey, we got to get better. We got to stop turning the ball over so much. They did that as well. But now both Louisville and Northwest, got another big game right after that, after last week to this week. Louisville goes to Hoover in a rivalry game to take on Hoover. Hoover's talented. Mason Ashby's going to cause some problems for that Hoover defense. Yeah.
Derlin's playing pretty well as well.
And Louisville's going to have to, if they're going to beat Hoover, they have to score more than 20 points. They're not beating Hoover, scoring 16 points again. I think Hoover's got too much firepower. So Louisville challenged to keep getting better on offense. The defense continues to play really good. And then Northwest, like you said, they kind of hit a stalling point here on offense. They've got to get it together because now they go play a Fairless team that's hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah, they're putting up a lot of points right now, and they're playing extremely well. Can't afford to turn the ball over and have penalties, and just got to make the big plays when you have opportunities to. There's sometimes kids just try to throw the perfect ball instead of just throwing the 50-50 ball. Badger ended up throwing one of those late in the game. Receiver ended up going inside, pulling it down for a big play. But it's got to be more consistent. They got to find he's got to settle in. His feet were like a sophomore is the best way to explain it. He was just a little bit, had happy feet, kind of throwing off his back foot a lot, not driving through, which causes the ball to float a little bit. He's not a 6'4", 220 guy where he can just flip his hips and drive it down the field. He has to bring that back leg through and has to settle his feet in the pocket.
At Levinson Associates, we've been proudly serving the greater Stark County community for over 78 years. Locally owned, we cover your home, auto, business, and life insurance along with your group benefits. Our partnership with auto owners has allowed us to span not only Ohio, but throughout the entire country. Did you know that Auto Owners, an A++ rated company by AM Best and a Fortune 500 company, has ranked Levinson Associates a top 10 insurance agency in the state of Ohio? From your basic home and auto needs to insuring some of the largest companies in America, there's a reason people choose Levinson Associates and Auto Owners. Our dedication and passion for our clients and their coverage is part of our commitment to excellence. For all your insurance coverage needs, there's only one call to make, and that's Levinson Associates, located at 1302 South Main Street in North Canton. Contact us at 330-494-2776 today and see the difference in customer satisfaction.
All right, we're back on High School Football Rewind on Stark Media's YouTube channel. Drew Sarachman, Jim Ballard. Make sure you follow us on all our social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Stark Media team, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free. We'll send you alerts anytime a video goes up. So, I know on Wednesday nights we like to get this video up, whenever we can. So just set an alert and then you don't have to worry about it. As soon as it pops up, you'll know when it's up. We'll move to the Federal League now. We'll get right into it. Hoover beat Akron Garfield 40-6. Mason Ashby, 3 total touchdowns in the win. We talked about before, big home matchup, for Hoover. Louisville coming in this week, rivalry game, a lot of history between the two teams. We talked about Hoover before the season, say, hey, maybe this is a little rebuilding year. But they seem to catching their stride now, putting up some points. Defense is playing well. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for Louisville, just because of how Louisville's offense has been. and I think Hoover does have some weapons to create some mismatches there for that Louisville defense, especially with Mason Ashby. And I think it's going to be a good game, though. What do you think?
It's intriguing. It is a rivalry game. So you kind of throw the records out. Hoover rebounded nicely this week after getting bounced in the second half by Mansfield. What we got to remember is Hoover's young. They graduated a lot of guys. You got Zach Brocker, who's playing wide receiver, who's a sophomore, was a quarterback. I've worked with him at Ballard Quarterback Academy. Extremely athletic, and you're seeing what he can do in the slot. But he's only started 3 games.
Yeah.
On the varsity. And then, of course, you have Mason Ashby, Connor Ashby's younger brother. Connor obviously did what he did at Hoover, is playing baseball at Kent State now. We could see Ashby's talent last year and as a freshman in more of the return game, punt returns, kick returns. Got his feet wet a little bit at the wide receiver position, but now it's these 2 young kids and the junior quarterback and Derlin. Derlin's a dual threat guy. He can run. He chipped in with around 60 yards rushing. He was 11 of 22 for $135. Need to improve on that passing percentage a little bit, but he did throw 3 touchdowns and did not turn the ball over, which is a big thing with a young offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the key for Hoover in this game, I think, is going to be controlling that Louisville defensive line. They got 2 massive kids at defensive tackle who are playing really well. At the linebacker position, Jacob Davide's really tough for Louisville. So the key to this game is that Hoover offensive line, giving the quarterback time to get the ball out to those playmakers. And I like Hoover in this game in a close, hard-fought game. Another Federal League game from last week. Perry, 42-21 winner up at Euclid. Not an easy place to play up at Euclid. DeAndre Church ran for 174 yards and 4 touchdowns for the Panthers. Tough loss to a loaded Canadian team they played the week before after the season opening win against Central. Perry, they were banged up in that first game a little bit, guys coming off the field, but nice win up at Euclid. And they're going to take on McKinley this week. And McKinley's a team with their back against the wall. And we'll touch on them in a little bit. But, anytime you're facing a team that's, needs their first win with as much talent as McKinley does, that's going to be a tough matchup for Perry.
Listen, it's week 4, and it's early to say this, and we talked about this with Jackson last week. Mm-hmm. Last week for Jackson was a must-win against Boardman. Mm-hmm. This week with McKinley being 0-3, this is an absolute must-win for this program. Yeah. They were close last week against Dublin Kaufman. They have a good team, Division I team. Got handled by Fitch badly the week before. They've got to rebound. They got to find a way to win. Rhodey's starting to play a little bit better. He was more efficient last week in the loss. But they got to beat this Perry team, and to do that, they got to stop the run game. 406 yards rushing last week on 51 carries.
Yeah, and we'll talk about McKinley here in a minute, but yeah, big matchup, Perry and McKinley coming up this week. You mentioned Austintown Fitch. They hammered somebody else in Stark County this past week, Glen Oak, 48-18. Talked to Glen Oak. They are healthy coming out of this game. They're going to be fine. It's a process over there. They've got talent coming up. They're really young. Unfortunately, and hats off to Coach Garcia. He's not afraid to play anybody.
He's lining them up, and they're young. And I talked to Coach Wilson before the Madison game. He says, we're talented. We got guys all over the field. Mm-hmm. He's like, honestly, I think we might be a year away, but we're getting better. And you could see it. They competed hard against Madison, and they just got overwhelmed, before the end of the game, and they got away from them. But they're competitive. They're playing better. They're getting more creative on offense. Mm-hmm. And the Burt brothers are a problem, and they're going to be a problem in the Federal League. And Glen Oak's going to continue to compete. Don't sleep on how good Fitch really is.
Oh, they're
Fitch handled McKinley, and they handled Glen Oak. Okay, McKinley's 0-3. McKinley's 0-3. Glen Oak's 1-2. But this Fitch team is for real.
They're very good.
And I don't want to fast forward a little bit too much, but I cannot wait to see Massillon and Fitch play. That is going to be a ball game that's going to be off the chart.
I think we're all going to be fighting for it here at Stark Media, who gets to do that game over at Paul Brown Tiger Stadium. And here's the thing I'll say about Glen Oak is I like what Mike Cook does on defense. He says, I know who we are. We're going to play a lot of man-to-man against you. We're going to try to bring different looks in the run game. And if you want to beat us, throw the ball on us.
And it wasn't Maslin beating them through the air. And you're right. Glen Oak said, we have to load the box. We have to walk the strong safety down to try and get 8 to try and stop Hartson. The kid's one of the best running backs in Stark County, probably the state. So they did. They walked it down. Pre-snap read, it's no mystery. You got corners up in guys' face jamming them. It's one-on-one with one free safety free, and Maslin couldn't execute it. Had guys open, but you couldn't execute it. And that's what Glen is going to try to do. They're going to try to put pressure. They're not going to let the quarterback be able to stand back there and beat you. They're going to try and take the run away, and they're going to force you to beat them throwing the ball down the field.
Yeah, Jeff Tyler and I will be out at Lake this week for Lake versus Glen Oak. It's going to be live video broadcasts on YouTube. So if you're out of the reach of any of our radio stations, 106.9, 99.7, log on to YouTube. We'll have the game live video. Only live video game in Stark County that's free to everyone. So make sure you get on YouTube and check that out. And I'll tell you this right now. That game, if Adrian Burt, quarterback, Milk, if he learned from his mistakes the first 2 weeks, that's going to be a close game because Lake's a little banged up on the offensive line. I would say Glen Oak's weakness is their defensive line, so that's going to even the playing field a little bit. That game's going to be closer than the experts think.
I agree with you 100%. Glen Oak's a scary team. And if you let a team like Glen Oak hang around with the guys that they have and the athleticism that they have and the fire that the defense plays with, you don't want to leave them hanging around in the fourth quarter.
Nope.
If you want to knock Glen Oak out, you got to do it in the first half. And you got to get him down and keep him down and force the young quarterback to beat you with his arms. We've seen what he can do with his legs. The problem he had against Maslin was there were times where he took sacks that you absolutely cannot take sacks. You can't take a sack on first down, and you can't take a sack when you're backed up. Is there mistakes made by the offensive line? Of course there are, but there's 2 things every quarterback should know on every single pass play.
Spirit of Stark embodies the pride that each community in our county has for their local schools and teams. That's why when it's time to find the best in custom apparel, look no further than Spirit of Stark, located at 409 Erie Street North. Custom embroidery offered on almost any type of garments, from shirts and jackets to hats, pants, and shorts. Their state-of-the-art equipment allows Spirit of Stark to fulfill any order, big or small. You name it, they can do it. Want to look your best heading back to school this fall? Contact Spirit of Stark at 330-806-6745. We can't wait to hear from you.
Where's my check down and where's my throwaway? And if I get moved to the right, if the shit hits the fan, I got to know that I'm going to move to the right and I got to back in the flat that I'm going to throw it at his feet. But I'm not going to take sacks. Just has to make better decisions with the ball and realize that you don't have to make every single play and make chicken soup out of chicken shit. If it's chicken shit, just throw the ball away, regroup, you got another play, don't take any sacks.
Next Federal League game, Green goes down at home, 47-46 in overtime to Talmadge. A game that Green was down 3 scores early, came all the way back, took the lead. They went into overtime. Green scores in overtime. Talmadge gets the ball, their turn. They score. Coach decides, hey, you know what? We're going for the win right now, and they did it. Green continues to put crooked numbers up on offense. A huge Federal League game this week. Green and Jackson, big games for both teams. It's kind of going to show them where they are in the Federal League. Both teams have had some success early in the season. Both have had some disappointment. So we're going to see what happens up there at Green. You and TJ will have that game on 99.7, and that leads us into the Jackson game. Nice bounce back win against Boardman, like you called it, a must win for them. 43-13. Running back Jason Davide had three touchdowns in the first quarter. Joe Lattarulo comes in at quarterback for the hurt Ethan Lesko. Is there any light that you can shed on what's going over there at Jackson?
Yeah, Lesko's out with an ankle sprain. Not sure to the degree of how bad it is, if it's a 3-week thing or a 4-week thing. But honestly, I don't think it really matters. Lattarulo did a nice job of settling in last week. He's not a guy that you're going to hang the offense on to throw 30 or 40 times to win you games. He's a guy that does a great job of managing the game. He's a guy who worked with Coach Tom McDaniels, another great quarterback, private quarterback coach. We know about his history as a coach
Yep.
and his sons and everything else. So he's got really good footwork. Mechanically, he's pretty sound. He made good decisions last week. And you just got to be smart with the ball. Let Davide do what he can do as far as running the ball. They've got big offensive linemen up front. Did a great job on defense bouncing back because they got 40 points put on them in the first half against Mayfield. The back half of the Jackson defense has been one of the question marks that people have talked about especially after the Mayfield loss with the amount of yards that they threw for. Now you're going and playing Green.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, week one I saw firsthand. I mean, Justin Cox up at Akron East just carved Jackson apart.
He's good.
He's
Really
good. But now he went against another Federal League team this week, and Lake really held that offense in check, brought a lot of pressure. So if Jackson, just doing the comparison thing, playing similar teams, Jackson's got to get that secondary together because, like you said, they were torched against the East, torched against Mayfield. Good showing, only giving up 13 points against Boardman, but Green's coming to town, and they're going to throw the ball on you too.
The thing I love about Green and what Coach Geis has done, you graduate Trevor Van Horn, all-time leading passer in Green history, set numerous records. You get a guy that transfers in, Klockner, who all he does is throw for 444 in a second start. Geis has just said and committed to the fact that we're not going to run the ball very much. We're going to come out and throw it, and you're going to have to cover us. And instead of turning and hand the ball off, we'll throw the smoke screen, we'll throw the bubble screen, we'll bring that back off the slot and kind of I don't even know what motion you call it, but back, and then he comes downhill.
We call it the zap motion behind
the quarterback that comes downhill. They're going to throw it, and you're going to have to stop them. And they're really good at it. We've seen that. Graduated over 20 seniors off that team, one of the best teams in Green's history.
Mm-hmm.
And all they've done is they're 2-1, and they're 2 points away from being 3-0 after graduating all those guys with a brand new quarterback, taking Trey Mart out of the equation, going down to Ashland. Little brother picking right up where he left off, super soft, had over 90 catches last year as a freshman. This Green team is scary.
Yeah,
because you got to stop them. And they're efficient at it, and they do a good job, and they're going against one of the weaker parts of Jackson's defense, which is the secondary. They're going to have to find a way to get pressure on them, but the problem is they go 4 and 5 wide. So if you do try and pressure, it's not a mystery where the pressure's coming from. If you're going to blitz off the slots, the safeties have to roll down. They're coming. Then you pick your best matchup and get the ball out. So it's an interesting matchup with Coach Ward's defense.
Yep.
And Green's offense with Coach Geis.
For sure.
It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, going to be a good game for you guys to see. Last week, Jeff Tyler and I were up at Hartville at Lake. We saw Lake and Akron East. Second time seeing Akron East. They're loaded with talent. Lake comes off 2 big wins in a row. They're a little banged up. I talked to Coach before the game. I said, hey, I got to apologize. I think I was the one telling people that, you guys are going to be pretty good. And he corrected me right away. Hey, Coach, I get it. We're not good yet. So it's good that Coach Dan DeGeorge is keeping those guys even keeled, not getting their heads too big. And they struggled in the first half against Akron East on offense. Akron East had the ability to match up man on man with Lake. And I think it's something they hadn't seen yet in the passing game, where they just went out there and said, hey, you got to make really good passes because we're going to put 4 guys out there to match up your 4 guys and see what you can do. Took them a while to get the running game going with missing guys on the offensive line. It was 7-7. It was 7 to 7.5. So Lake came out and pretty much dominated in the second half after an East turnover. Group effort on offense. Both quarterbacks played well. Receivers, multiples of Baker played well. Schneider played well. Solberger with an absolute highlight play. If you haven't seen that yet, they throw a screen pass into the flats. He catches it, hurdles defender, goes all the way down. So group effort on offense. Good teams find a way to put teams away, and that's what they did. The defense was really stout. They were bringing a ton of pressure on Justin Cox. He might have had a second to stand in the pocket. They did a great job all night bringing different pressures from different places. So Lake defense really stepped up there as well. Like we said, this week, big matchup with Glen Oak, which has some guys on defense to cause some problems. I think what we're going to start to see with Lake now, and you and I talked about it, there's 3 films out there now of how you use these 2 quarterbacks. And what I've noticed, The offense is a little drastically different from when Jarvis is in there to when Butler's in there. We won't give the secrets away of what we think, the offense is, but the offense is different. And people are going to see these films and they're going to start to say, okay, hey, when this guy's in the game, this is what they're doing. When this guy's in the game, this is what they're doing. So what I'd like to see is I'd like to see them put in together, put them in together a little bit, make defensive coordinators get on their toes and say, okay, this is something different. How are we going to defend this? And you don't exactly have to, design new plays. Just, hey, get him in at receiver a little bit, get him in at running back, and change it up a little bit. So that'll keep defenses on their toes for Lake. But like we said, Lake versus Glen Oak up in Hartville, live on YouTube, video, game of the week for Stark Media. And we'll move to our last Federal League game. That's McKinley, 0-3, losing their first home game, 28-26 to Dublin Kaufman. We talked about this. This is a must-win for McKinley. You can't go to 0-4.
When's the last time McKinley's gone 0-4?
I'm not sure.
I know it's been a long time.
Yeah. I know
I got to get in the archives on that a little
maybe
bit.
Maybe 03, 04, 05, they had a real bad season, 1-9 or 2-8, something like that. But, disappointing week 1. They probably should have beat Menor. Week 2, they get hammered by Fitch.
Chris McCready's and his team at Finally Hear Hearing Aid Center in Canton offer up over 30 years of experience for their customers who are hearing impaired. Head over to their website at finallyhearohio.com and schedule your free hearing aid test and evaluation today. They're a best of the best award-winning company that prides themselves on customer service. Stop down and see them at 1201 30th Street Northwest or contact them at 492-1212 for an appointment. And thank you for sponsoring Stark Media's finallyhearohio.com player of the game.
One last pack team we'll touch on, Canton South, 56-30 win over an improving Sandy Valley team. Zion Culver had 6 touchdowns for the Wildcats. Poochie Snyder played well again, but so did the Sandy Valley freshman quarterback Drew Graybro. So I'm watching. We're at our game and I'm seeing updates of that score. I'm like, Sandy Valley's hanging around. They're scoring some points, and then Canton South was just proved too much, pulled away on the end. So Canton South they're going to get into pack play pretty soon. The offense is really humming. Now in the Poochie, he's good.
He's
Poochie
lighting it up
Snyder's
like a
good.
Christmas tree each and every week. Third year and as a starter down there. Coach Dennison doing a great job.
He does a great job. We'll move on to the EBC now. Carrollton hammers my alma mater, St. Thomas, 63-6. There weren't many details from that game. I'm sure we probably wouldn't want to see them. So Carrollton with a big win. Alliance, impressive again against a Bedford school. Bedford always, bigger school, always has a ton of athletes. It was close in the beginning, and Alliance pulls away 47-20. It's a really nice win for Alliance. 2 wins in a row after the opening season loss to Lake.
They're talented.
Really, a lot of talent.
We came away from, the week 1 game, and, Alliance went up 7-0. And then Will Butler rolls to his left and throws a dime in the back of the end zone on 4th and 8, which ties the game. At that point, Alliance's offense was dominating. They went methodically down the field, put 7 on the board. If they would have got a stop there, I believe they go down and it's 14-0, and the game's different. My point is this. Alliance has dudes.
Yes, they do.
And Zerbrug is a stud.
Mm-hmm.
The kid is smooth when he runs the ball. He makes really good decisions with it. His dad was obviously a quarterback that went to Michigan, so he's got the IQ of a quarterback, and you see it. And you got Caden Davis in the backfield. I mean, you got the wide receiver, Bagheera, Mount Guy's son. They've got guys that can make plays, and they just got beat week 1, and they've rebounded nicely the last 2 weeks. They're going to be a team that we're talking about at the end of the year that's going to make some noise in the playoffs.
I agree. Caden Davis, 180 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns on only 18 carries, 10 yards a pop, ain't bad at all. Zerbrug efficient again, 73% passing in the game, 4 total touchdowns. So Alliance is really starting to catch their stride here as they go into their EBC play schedule here in a couple weeks. Marlington loses a 1920 style football game to Ridgewood 7-0. Marlington isn't a team that we haven't really talked about much so far. Opening week loss to Northwest, week 2 loss to Northwest. I believe. Yeah, week 2 loss to Northwest. They lost to Ridgewood here 7-0. Ridgewood's usually a tough team, but Marlington is a team that we're going to check out here in a couple weeks. Defense looks like it's been playing good, but you got to be able. You can't win a game if you don't score a point. So West Branch gets their second win on the arm of Drew DeShields, 42-7 over Revere. Drew DeShields 5 touchdowns. I mean, he's just putting up crooked numbers. We talked about earlier. There's going to be some really good matchups in that EBC this year.
Certainly are. Drew's playing extremely well.
Going to put some points on the board. Teams putting some points on the board. We'll take a quick break. Talk about Ben Wallenberg Chocolates in the Fulton Drugs Plaza across from Stadium Park in Canton. He's got a special this week going all the way till Saturday. You get a pound of cashews for $9.95. It's a huge savings, great deal. It's great to watch any of the games. Special NFL Sunday coming up this week.
Week 1, baby.
Yeah, week one, NFL Sunday. Get your chocolate, get your little salty or a little sweet like I like to have. I can't have a little sweet without the salt. Can't have a little salt without the sweet.
Mix it up.
So go down, check out Ben Wallenberg's. Check him out on Facebook as well. BenWallenberg'sChocolates.com as well, the website. He'll ship your stuff anywhere in the country. But this week, $9.95 a pound for cashews that are just unbelievable.
McNeil & Sons Tree Service have been serving the greater Northeast Ohio area and keeping your property clear for over 20 years. Do you have trees that stretch out to the close to your home or rotted tree that has to go? No job is too big or too small for McNeil & Sons. We specialize in removal, storm damage, stump grinding, land clearing, and more. Contact us at 330-606-1126 today for all your tree service needs. Go to our website at mcneiltree.com to schedule your free quote where the professionals at McNeil & Sons can inform you of your tree health and give you a risk assessment to keep you and your family protected. McNeil & Sons Tree Service is fully licensed and insured, so call us to schedule your tree service at 330-606-1126. McNeil & Sons Tree Service, a company you can depend on with a family you can trust.
All right, the last game we'll talk about is the McKinley Bulldogs. They're now 0-3. We just talked about it. This is a must-win coming up this week. McKinley can't go 0-4. They lost their first home game of the season, 28-26 to Dublin Kaufman. The offense was a little bit better. Keaton Rohde starting to hit some guys, some open guys. They found a running back in Nino Hill, but they're 0-3. Week 1 game they probably should have won up at Menor. Week 2 game they get hammered by Fitch, 28-0 in the first quarter. Before you blink, McKinley should never be down 28-0 to anyone in the first quarter.
3 touchdowns on the first 5 offensive plays for us and Tom Fisk. Got to shore up that defense and find a way to get off the field.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like we said, they found playmaker Nino Hill at running back. Offense looked good. 26 points against the Dublin Kaufman team should be enough. They're a good team. It was a back and forth game, but McKinley's defense right now is a mess. I've seen 2 game films. I've seen part of this past week's game, and they're missing a ton of tackles in the defensive backfield, especially linebacker as well. They are not tracking people in the open field. They're running right past them, trying to arm tackle people. Just not good fundamentals out of the McKinley defense right now. Another thing I noticed, teams are running off tackle them. McKinley's coming screaming off the edge. They have a down block. What you need to do, if you're the edge defender there and you have a down block, you need to squeeze down and make that tight. And if there's a kick out block, I don't know if they're teaching to wrong arm it or come outside and stay free, but they're not collisioning at all. They're just getting smacked. They're coming in, they're not squeezing it down, and they're like magnets to kick out blocks. And these teams are just running off tackle of them like crazy. That's something they've got to fix. The other thing for McKinley is, most of the teams that you play, besides maybe Austintown Fitch, you're going to be more athletic than. I'd like to see them go one more high safety, play more man-to-man, bring some pressure, maybe get some teams in second and long, take some risks on first down, try to put people behind the chains so they can't just run off tackle. And they play into your hands a little. Play some man-to-man, brings the pressure, force quarterbacks to make throws against you. But that defense is an absolute mess right now, and they better fix it because now you got a wing T team in Perry who's put up a lot of points so far this year. And if you don't fix things on defense, if you don't start tackling, you're going to be on 4.
Especially with Perry, they're playing extremely well right now. They're playing with a lot of confidence. They very well could be 3-0 right now. They lost that tough game not this past Friday, but the weekend before over at Tom Benson. And Coach Slate's has them playing with a lot of confidence. You move Basham to wing. You got a new quarterback in. You still got Church, and they're just running the ball well. And if you don't tackle well, here's the thing too. When you play a wing team T that you have to be disciplined. You have to read your keys, and you can't get 1 or 2 steps the wrong way because they run so many counters and they pull guards and tackles, and they're efficient at hitting through the 0-2, 1-3 holes, and then all of a sudden you make a quick fake, then they hand the ball off. You got to be gap responsible. Linebackers have to read their keys, and they got to stay home, and they got to tackle because these guys run hard, they run physical, and like you said, if you get a little bit off balance or if you're leaning and you're not breaking down, these guys are guys that can run over you or around you.
Yeah, and when you're playing a wing T team, it's so important, to do your job. You're going to have guys that are going to be looking for that dive. You're going to be guys that are going to be looking for the counter, for the off tackle, for the jet sweep if they run that. So there's going to be some positions where guys are going to have to make one-on-one tackles for McKinley this week. And if they tackle like they did the last 2 weeks, Perry's going to put a lot of points on.
I agree.
If they can do their job, read their keys, redirect, 11 hats to the football on defense, they can beat Perry. Because I think they're starting to catch their groove on offense over there at McKinley, but it's going to be on the defense this week. If Perry comes out and scores 28 points, you're probably not beating them.
I agree.
You got to hold Perry down. You can't have them hit big plays on you. And then the other thing is Perry has been really efficient in the passing game this year. Coach Zach Slates has done a great job of picking his spots to throw the ball. A lot of them have been for huge chunks, for touchdowns. So it's a big, tall task for McKinley this week, who's coming against, a team that, like you said, just ran for 400 yards on them last week. Kind of same recipe. See if they can make some adjustments and get into the win column, because if they don't win this game, unfortunately, I think, their team's in a very fragile state there mentally. You're going to have some kids maybe thinking, do I really want to be in for the long haul here? 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And you got a tough Federal League schedule coming up where no one has a problem.
No gimmies.
Yeah, no gimmies, and no one has a problem beating McKinley.
No.
I don't care if you're down or you're up. In the Federal League, when you play McKinley, that's a game you circle every single year.
Every week, and they're going to get the best from everybody.
Yep.
Especially for a team like Jackson who hasn't beat McKinley in over 20 years, I believe. So they're going to get everybody's best. And to your point, Drew, one of the headlines in the article was, I believe in the repository, the wheels can't come off. And this is a game where if they lose, it's going to be like the Flintstones. Right now, the wheels are cement, and they're starting to chip away. And if they lose this week, it's going to break it in half. They got to find a way to win and slow down this Perry run game.
Yeah, and I know the expectation at McKinley is always to win football games and be the best. But I think, Coach Antonio Hall is doing a good job. There's different levels of success now at McKinley. He's trying to create a culture. He's trying to create good habits.
New footprint,
trying to set an expectation of how we expect you to behave and act as a young man. And sometimes the football wins, have to come after you set that expectation. But year 2 for Coach Antonio Hall, I'd love to see him get in the win column this week. I know staff works hard, but they've got to fix that defense because right now they can't tackle anybody.
I agree, and this will be a big challenge for them, as we keep saying. Perry runs the ball, and they're going to run the ball. Mm-hmm. And I like what you said about what Coach Slates is doing on offense. They lull you to sleep. Mm-hmm. They hit you with the dive. Then they hit you with the dive. Then they hit you with the jet sweep. And then all of a sudden you fake the dive, fake the jet sweep, and then you got the tight end on a corner route where the corner or the safety's got to play a man-to-man. He gets caught peeking into the backfield. What happens? You got a wide open guy after you've ran the ball 7, 8, 9 times. Again, got to stay disciplined, got to read your keys, because they have the ability to hit you in the mouth with the run game, but they can throw over the top with the pass game. They've got guys that can go up and get it. They got guys that can catch it, and they're throwing the ball well and efficient this year. Much better than last year.
Yep. So just to let everybody know one more time, this week Jeff Tyler and I will be at Lake for Glen Oak versus Lake on our YouTube stream. It's free. It's live. Share it with everybody. You get to watch this game if you're out of territory, can't listen to our radio games. Tune in. You'll also be able to watch the replay as well. Rock 106, Sam Berkwin, Jeff Shreve will be at Fairless for Northwest on Rock 106.9 Northwest at Fairless, and you and TJ Downing will be at Green for Jackson at Green on 99.7. One more thing, congratulations to our FinallyHereOhio.com's player of the games from the games that we did this past week. Shane Gates, big defensive tackle from Louisville. I really like the way this kid plays. He's got a motor. He's mean. He's nasty. They're going to need another big game out of him if they want to beat Hoover. And then Dylan Schneider and Nate Baker for Lake Blue Streaks. They were Johnny on the spot for Lake this week. And, that game is actually the Northwest Fairless game is actually at Northwest this week. But congrats to those FinallyHereOhio.com players of the game. And I just want to say one more time, you people are pissing me off, so I'm cheering for Maslin the rest of the year. I'm tired of the shit they get. His staff, Coach Nate Moore and his staff, do a great job. Leave these kids alone. Let them play football. Let them pick the best spot that's for them to succeed. Good luck to all the coaches, all the players this week. Stay healthy. Check us out on our social medias. Stark Media Team. Have a good week, everybody.